Shirley seemed to suggest this morning that you made some comments without getting the full context of what she has said. Would you like to address Shirley as to what your response is? I'm sure you've heard her comments, right?
Well, first of all, yeah, based upon your statement, did we have the full speech? No. The point that I made is when you're talking about when you're making a political decision, what Secretary Vilsack did was make a political decision as it relates to someone. And again, before he even made the comment, I understood exactly what was going to come down, and that is being in a position of authority moving forward based upon perception. The second point that I made is, and this is the point that I made regardless of whether you're talking about somebody African-American, white, or whatever, and that is our actions based upon what we think in terms of being able to assist someone and help someone when we're in that particular position. As an African-American who has advocated, even right now, for Congress to get off their butts and pay this $1 billion to black farmers they've been holding up for quite some time, that I simply cannot sit here and ignore when, even if our own thoughts and feelings saying, well, I didn't necessarily do enough to help someone because they are a white farmer. I wouldn't want somebody white saying Roland, I didn't do enough to help a black farmer. That was the point that I made.
When that statement was made, it was 24 years ago. I was not working for the government, and I used that story to try to help people to see that we need to get beyond some of the mess we've been in to move forward.
Right.
I didn't.
Right.
And you are totally misrepresenting. You didn't take the time to see what I said either. You didn't care either.
What?
You didn't
care.
No.
The position that I stated again, and I was very clear on that. And it is no different. It is no different whether it was 24 years ago for me. Whether no. Allow me to finish.
I'm not saying
allow
that
me to finish.
because I'm a black person.
I
want you to
allow me to finish.
understand that I've never leaned on my blackness.
The point I'm making is, whether something is 24 years ago, whether it is something today, in terms of when people are making decisions against someone else, is saying I didn't do enough or I have preconceived notions. That to me was the issue that I spoke to. And for me,
well, but
look,
but Roland,
you know what, sure, 24 years ago, and I can tell you,
24 years, and what were
Shirley,
you doing
Shirley, and you know what, Shirley, and I can tell you in 1989.
And where did you grow up?
Okay, one second. I can tell you in 1989, when I was denied an opportunity for a job because a white news director made it perfectly clear that he was not going to hire another African American. I understand in terms of being in that position on the other side. That's not 24 years ago. That's 1989. That's when I'm sitting here clearly in a newsroom, the best candidate, clearly by all the folks there, and this news director made it clear, I'm not going to hire another black man because of something that happened 10 years ago. The point I'm making there is, what happened? So again, don't sit here and say.
Well, hold on, both of you.
Look,
Roland, what she's saying is. And
I'm not saying it's the same.
Well, hold on just a moment. I think, Roland, what she's saying is, and what she's been trying to get out throughout this show and earlier on, is that if people had given her a chance to hear her out in full, if they'd heard the totality of her speech and not just that one part, they would have recognized that what she was trying to do was tell a story within a story to show that racism is bad. But she says everyone jumped just on that one piece of sound and judged her on it. Do you feel like you should have heard more or reached out to her to get her perspective before you said what you did?
If I had heard it, absolutely. But I will still say, Rick, whether or not I hear the whole thing or not, what I want people to do, whether they are somebody who was born in the 40s, the 50s, or the 60s, or whether today, is not make judgments, not make a decision as to how I'm going to help somebody more or less based upon those preconceived notions. And I can tell you, Rick, as somebody who sits here on the board, one second.
Roland, finish up and we'll give her a chance.
I cannot listen to more of what he is saying because he is dead wrong.
All right.
I don't know where he grew up,
but Shirley,
grew up in, but he is dead wrong.
All right, Shirley, let's be as respectful as we can, and I'll ask you to go ahead. You have an opportunity now to explain why it is that you disagree with Roland. Roland, let's give her a listen here.
And the point I'm making,
hold on,
is
Roland. Let's give her a chance to respond.
I don't want to get into an argument with him because he's clearly from a different world. He doesn't have any experience with the world I've lived in, so I don't think we can agree on anything, okay?
And I don't.
You know.
Well, I'll tell you. What does this say? Let's forget this conversation between you all. And I was thinking earlier today, when I tried to explain this story earlier today to my kids, they thought I had horns in my head. They didn't quite understand that which we as a nation are still so, dare I use the word, stuck on. Why do we constantly get in these conversations about NAACP, who said what to whom, was it racist, what did the Tea Party say, what did the Tea Party do? And I'll say this once again, when I talk to my teenage sons and my daughter, they don't understand what we're talking about. Do we continue to bring back parts of the past to get ourselves? Well, I'll just leave the question there, Rick, and I'll let you guys respond.
Well, no, Rick, I'll tell you, Rick, we don't necessarily do that because if you go to the EEOC right now, you will see the kind of complaints that are being filed today. If you listen to John Boyd of the National Black Farmers Association talking about what they're still facing today. When you look at the denial of opportunities, you hear from black fishermen and Vietnamese fishermen down the Gulf Coast right now. These are not conversations from 30 years ago. These are things that are happening today. So have we changed? Have we evolved? There is no doubt we've actually done that. But we also cannot deny what is happening right now. The opportunities are being denied the people of color. Even today, rules being changed based upon, well, do this, but then all of a sudden it happens here. This is a reality for some people in this world.
Shirley, how much would you say that you are a victim of this conversation, this debate that sprung out late last week between the NAACP and the Tea Party
It had
supporters?
Everything to do with it. That speech would never have even come to light if it had not been for the debate that the NAACP was locked in with the Tea Party.
So do you feel like they
I made that speech, I made the same speech to a group of students at Albany State College on October 15th. They played it over and over in Albany because I make the point to the young people that we've got to move beyond it. We've got to strive to be the best we can be, and then we got to reach back and help somebody else. I talked to them about how our foreparents tried to reach back, and that's how we made it. They were reaching back and helping. My message is an upbeat message to try to get people to work together to make life better for all of us.
Roland, do you believe that she's a victim?
So Rick, is the question for us then, as it relates to Andrew Breitbart, as it relates to big government, in terms of what is the motive, as it relates to the standards?
You just mentioned a name, and I think the least we can do. Hold on. You just mentioned a gentleman named Andrew Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart is the conservative website media producer who posted this story and got it out there. And Shirley is accusing Andrew Breitbart of very carefully editing her speech to make it try and sound like something that she isn't. That's what Shirley is saying.
But Rick, are we going to be as vigorous in questioning? But are we going to be vigorous in questioning him and those around him for their motives as we are as it relates to Shirley or to me or to anyone else? Well, I mean, because again, the story has multiple layers there, and that also speaks to it.